Are you ready for the schedule? For some football? Good afternoon, everybody. Good Wednesday afternoon, May 15th, 2024. On the South Side Beat, my name is Corey Crisan. Chris Halicke will be joining us momentarily, about 10 minutes or so, for today's show. Schedule release day. Happy schedule release day to those who celebrate, to those who observe, to those who look forward to circling dates on the calendar. You start to make those travel plans, whether you're going to Pittsburgh or you're going to a visiting site to see the Steelers play. That's what today is all about. Today is the day where the airlines hike those prices up. Today's the day where you have to find a new subscription service and you have to figure out how to use it. Not flying solo today. Nax, Chris will be joining us in about 10 minutes. But it's time to talk NFL schedule. Now, nothing has been made official quite yet. Nothing will be released for another 5 hours officially at about 8 p.m. Eastern. But what we do know as of right now are a few reports that have surfaced from national media and a couple of releases that have come out from other outlets, if you will. Now, last year, I remember there was a big discussion about Peacock, about all these streaming services, Paramount Plus. Of course, we all know DirecTV, the Sunday Ticket. Looks like another one is in the fray. Netflix has picked up the NFL for the next 3 seasons, and the Steelers will be a part of that slate on Christmas Day. Zach says in the chat, Chiefs, Steelers, Christmas Day, Acrisure Stadium. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift. Nothing says Christmas romance like the city of Pittsburgh. And that's where Tavis, for those who observe, Chris would cringe at me saying that, will be on Christmas Day. The Steelers reportedly will host the Chiefs on Christmas Day. They will be one of the 2 games that'll be exclusively streaming on Netflix on Christmas Day. The other one is reportedly, again, nothing official, Ravens and Texans. And what that means is it looks like the Steelers could get a shortened week the week prior against either the Ravens or the Texans. And of course, I don't believe they play the Texans this year. So with that being said, looks like the Ravens and the Steelers could be doing a duel before that Christmas Day game. And it also came out that it looks like the Eagles game will be even before that. So there's a tough stretch coming up, it appears, in December, as it's mentioned here in our chat by John. December looks like it's going to be tough. That's what it looks like. Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs back to back to back. Now, nothing official yet. Once again, I'll continue to stress that. And Tenchi says, I'm not getting Netflix just for football. Hopefully the bar has it or something. Like, we're reaching levels of UFC pay-per-views, I think. We're reaching levels of, like, pro wrestling pay-per-views where you get a buddy, or boxing pay-per-views. Like, I purchased some boxing pay-per-views, or I'll chip in. You know, I'll have a buddy buy the boxing pay-per-view. When I was in college, we used to do this. We used to get the boxing pay-per-views. One of my buddies was really big into combat sports. He covers the sport for a living. And we would get the boxing pay-per-views, and I'll chip in, $5, $10, depends on who was going. I mean, that is the stuff that we're talking about when it comes to these streaming services. When you talk about Netflix picking up the NFL, obviously Peacock, Paramount Plus. I mean, pretty soon it's going to be exclusively digital as more people are cutting the cord. The NFL are kings at this when it comes to television. The NFL has it down to a science. If only Rob Manfred would listen over at Major League Baseball, because good Lord, gotta pull an arm and a leg just to find the Pirates game or just to find a game. And you got to pay premium dollar for a game on their streaming service. Anyway, I could get into a rabbit hole about all of that. Tenchi says and adds, I have all the other streaming services. They seriously couldn't have used Peacock or Prime. Frustrating. Tenchi? No, they couldn't have. You know why? It's called bidding. It's called money. Netflix paid a lot of money for this. It's why if you follow the NBA, there's reports out that NBC has outbid TNT for the rights to broadcast the basketball games. Now, I'm an avid basketball watcher, and the NBA on TNT, for my money, is the best studio show for sports out there. Nothing tops it. With Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley, nothing comes even close to touching that show on a nightly basis. And of course, NBA on TNT runs Thursdays, but NBC put in a lot of money to outbid Turner, reports, of course, for those rights to get those games. Now, is inside the NBA and that crew going to go away? Who knows? But at the same time, that's what this is all about. Netflix paid top dollar for this. And everybody's getting their piece of the pie now in this digital age. Less cable subscriptions mean more digital subscriptions. Look at regular programming as well. Saturday Night Live, you can watch it live on Peacock. You could watch several things live on Peacock or Netflix or YouTube TV or what have you. You can watch several things live on those services, and more people are seeing it as, dare I say, pointless to have cable. I don't have cable. As I sit here, I don't have cable. I don't pay for that. It's too much. My parents pay for it, respectively, and they have their shows they watch on their different channels. But anymore, it's all streaming. It's all streaming. I mean, you could look at any of the TV shows that you like, or any of the movies you like, or any of the movies historically you might like. 90% positive that movie is on some kind of streaming service. That streaming service could be HBO. Look at Hard Knocks with HBO, of course. It could be HBO. It could be Showtime. It could be, I'm a big Sopranos fan, right? I'm a big Sopranos fan. So you can only watch that, of course, on one spot. You're not getting that on cable. You can only watch The Office, as I've talked about recently. VPN is fantastic value. There you go, Ben. I'm not VPNing. That's not what I do. Corey, do you use streams such as Roku? I have, what do I have? Peacock, ESPN Plus. I have no problem sharing this. I have Peacock, I have ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Netflix. I share a Netflix account with somebody. What else do I use? I use YouTube a lot. I don't have YouTube TV, but I use YouTube a lot. I don't have a point in paying for cable. And like a couple of these subscriptions are included, wrapped in with my phone plan, and you bundle this stuff. Like, I'm paying more than enough to stream. Why would I add cable on? And I'm sure there are a lot of you out there and a lot of others that aren't listening to the show out there that, let's say you have a young child. Okay. Let's say you have a 5-6-year-old kid. I have friends that have kids that are young, really young, and they subscribe to these streaming services so they could get Disney movies. They could get these kids shows that are on there, these kid-friendly movies. And it's all right there on demand. And you could put it on the phone. You could put it on the iPad. You don't have to, the industry term is appointment view these shows anymore. The days of Saturday morning cartoons, so to speak. Like, you don't have to appointment view these TV shows. This is just how TV works. I'm not sharing anything new here. This is, number one, I have a pretty, I would say, extensive knowledge of how television works and how the business operates. Given my background, given my education, given my history, I understand the business of television. And yeah, TV, appointment viewing, sitting down to watch your local news at 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. or noon. Those are all going by the wayside. That's why if you're in Pittsburgh, KDKA, WPXI, WTAE, they all have their apps. I don't go to the TV at 6 p.m. anymore to watch the 6 o'clock news. I go to my phone and I go to the app of that news service that I like watching, and I read or I watch the package or whatever it is, or even the rerun of the newscast. If I can't make a 6 o'clock newscast, then at 7:30 when I'm sitting down to eat dinner or whatever time it is, I'm firing up that app and I'm watching the rerun of the 6 o'clock news. Let's say, for example, whatever TV station it is, even if it's back home, I'm from the Youngstown area, the Youngstown TV market. So I pay attention to what news goes on up there. My family and friends are still up there. and I have the news apps for that area. And I'll go to different news apps. If I want to know, whether my high school alma mater's basketball team won, I'll go to a certain app. If I want to know about the fire down the block from where my parents live, I'll do that. Like, that's where we're at now. That's just the way we're going with media and viewing. It's societal flow and all of that. So with that said, this is the NFL's response to it. It's less cable, more streaming. And that's why there's always going to be a 1-for-1. If the game's on cable, if it's on CBS, you could go stream it on Paramount Plus. If the game's on NBC, you could stream it on Peacock. If the game's on, pretty sure at some point, Disney Plus is going to get sports. Hulu already has live sports. Like, if there's a 1-to-1 on this now, they're matching. They're getting with the times, so to speak. Look, Joshua says ESPN Plus really sucks. If you actually live in Pittsburgh, everything's blacked out. Depends on the sport you're going for. It depends on what you're going for. There are blackout restrictions to certain sports, but the NFL doesn't really have much of that. Let's welcome my friend and yours. Let's change this up so we can actually see him. Come on. There we go. Chris Halicke is here. Hello, Chris.
What's going on, everyone?
Do you subscribe to Netflix?
I do.
Well, you're going to need it.
Oh, well, actually, I'll be covering the game, so.
Your family's going to need it. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, they're going to be asking, what's a Netflix? Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about, the way that the NFL gets ahead of the curve. And again, I wish Rob Manfred would figure this out. Listen, Rob Manfred, the streaming, NFL's right on the ball. They are as good as anybody, if not better than everybody, when it comes to expanding their reach via streaming, via cable subscription, via the blend of digital plus cable plus analog. Like, that's the way things are going. So if people are complaining, I got to buy Netflix now, they're banking on the fact that you probably already have it or have a way to access it. Number one. Number two, this is Netflix getting their toes in the water with all of this. And everybody has their toes in the water on some level with streaming live sports now. Of course, you saw, and let's not forget, last year they put a playoff game on Peacock. Look how many subscriptions Peacock and NBC Universal and Comcast, who owns it, got off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for these streaming services to do this. Yinzer says, BS, I'm out. Guess what, Yinzer? You're not the only one, but they don't care because more people are going to join in.
Now, okay, just so I'm sure you've already said it on here, but if you haven't, I'm just going to reiterate. If you live in Pittsburgh, if you live in Market, these games that are going to be on Prime Video, that are going to be on Netflix, they will be aired on a local affiliate.
That's correct.
So if you have just an antenna, you will still be able to watch the game because it will be on either WPXI or WCAE or WPGH or one of the local TV stations. It will be on there.
That's correct.
So if you live in Market, you don't have to have Prime Video or Netflix. So just don't freak out. This is another way for, okay, I can say this from another perspective, because Joshua Dobbs brought it up, earlier, as soon as I jumped on the show. For people who want to watch teams that are out of market, this kind of stuff is just more good news, because he said, if you live in Pittsburgh, ESPN Plus sucks. Well, I can tell you, as somebody who likes to watch the Penguins, ESPN Plus having a deal, or ESPN having a deal with the NHL, is absolutely amazing, because I don't have to buy NHL Center Ice to watch the Penguins.
It makes it super convenient too.
I can watch they're either going to be nationally televised, which the Penguins are quite a bit, and when they're not nationally televised, unless they're on NHL Network, I can watch it on ESPN Plus. That we're talking probably 60 to 70 hockey games a year that you would typically have to pay well more than $100 to get NHL Center Ice in order to have before.
Yep.
So, and Lyle, this is the thing that sucks for the people who are just outside of Market. Said, I'm in Wheeling. not in market 50 miles away. For anybody who's outside of market, then yeah, you're going to have all of these subscription services. And that's the part that this is the one downfall, because you have to have some sort of TV service, whether that's cable, satellite, over the air, or streaming service, whatever it is. You have to have something, because you have to be able to have your CBS, your Fox, all this kind of stuff. And then if you're out of market and you really want to guarantee yourself an ability to watch the game, you're buying Sunday Ticket, which means you're buying YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you have to talk about Prime Video. Then you have to talk about Netflix. Then you have, and pretty soon, I'm sure, in one way or another, we're going to see more games on Peacock. And it wouldn't surprise me if the NFL just gives a big old middle finger to Major League Baseball and gets on Apple Plus somehow.
Yeah.
So there is a gigantic pain in the butt when it comes to how many different services you're going to have in order to watch if you're outside of market. But for in-market fans, you will be able to watch all 17 games. You will. There's no debate about that.
I mean, the next two steps in this are add another game to the schedule, because they'll find a way. And
yeah, that's the other thing.
And they're going to start playing football 7 days a week. I mean, it's going to happen inevitably. It's just a matter of when. They're going to play football 7 days a week. They're going to put a game on Monday. Or they already have a game on Monday. They're going to put a game on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday every week. They're going to start doing it. It's so inevitable. And now it's becoming more accessible. And also, that hasn't been mentioned yet, the international reach the NFL has gotten. Yeah. They're now playing games in 3 different countries next year? Soon to be 4. They're playing them in England, Brazil, and Germany, and they'll play one in Mexico in a couple of years again. So they have global outreach now. When you're halfway across the world over in Europe, you got to find a way to watch the game, or they have to present the game to you. If they're going to do this, they're not just going to broadcast to American channels. They're going to broadcast global. Well, and I know there's global affiliates, don't get me wrong, but this makes it more accessible for the international customer as well to get on a streaming service and to find it that way.
Now, if I can give you the flip side of that, for those of us who like association football, like myself,
right?
I'm a big time Premier League fan. I'm a big time Chelsea fan. I like to watch the games, and I don't have to have a bunch of different streaming services in order to watch them, because they're all on Peacock. Peacock has a deal with, or the Premier League has a deal with Peacock, and all of the Premier League games pretty much are on Peacock. So they're either going to be broadcast on NBC, so I'm watching on my streaming service, but usually if they're on NBC, they're also on Peacock, or the occasional time they'll be on USA or something like that, something else that's on whatever TV streaming service I have. So you're talking about having to have a TV streaming service. Okay, big shocker there, or some sort of TV service, and then one app. That's it. And I can watch all 38 Chelsea matches if I want to. Now, when you start talking in, the FA Cup stuff and Champions League or Europa League, all that, that's a different story, but we're talking about just for a league. We can't talk about, and this is where it becomes apples and oranges, but just in terms of watching the league's product, Premier League, the biggest soccer league in the entire world, and I think 5th most profitable league, or 5th highest revenue league in terms of revenue in the world, has figured out a way to do it. Now, granted, the NFL is the biggest league in the entire world, and it's not even close. But that is where I would like to see maybe the NFL could land some sort of gigantic, oh my gosh, deal with like ESPN or whoever. One big, so you pretty much have to go to one app. That would be ideal for everybody, in an app that is obviously international. And so it's just, I get the gripe. I really do. It makes, for somebody like me who has probably not all, but the majority of the streaming services, it doesn't affect me. But I also know that not everybody's in my position, and not everybody wants to pay for all these streaming services. So I get the gripe of feeling like you got to have like 5 or 6 different services in order to watch your team's game if you live out of market.
That's the fear that I have with the direction the NFL is going. But again, the way they present it and with how large the game is now, I don't know if people are going to have as much of an issue with it compared to, let's say, if baseball did it. Major League Baseball did it. Like, I agree, having a one-stop shop for everything would be ideal. But why would the NFL do that? Why? Why would they do that? The customers are going to come by anyway. They're going to come by. They're going to find a way to watch their team. They're going to find a way to watch whatever game it is. They'll figure it out. They don't care about convenience for the customer because they don't need to.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Like, ideally, I'd be able to have ESPN Plus and be able to watch all 16 NFL games throughout the week. That's just not possible. Ideally, that would be it, but that's just not possible. Why would the NFL do that when they can have Netflix and Comcast and CBS, Paramount, and all of these mega companies, these mega services, and now Netflix bid against each other and have them go at it for the rights? Why not have Turner get involved?
Yeah.
Why not have ABC Disney get involved? Like, that's the name of the game here. They're forcing all of these cable streamings and streaming services their hands. And like it or not, this is the way it has to be. And here's the only thing that I fear that could happen with all of this is it gets so convoluted down the road that, like, for example, the Steelers are on CBS one week, then it's Peacock the next, then it's Netflix the next, then it's Fox the next, then it's Disney. Then, you know what I'm saying is you can't send the viewer to 15 different places in a 18-game season. You have to keep it relative, but I understand the necessity for it. I would totally do it if I was the NFL when it comes to getting Netflix involved.
Now, okay, just really quick. It's easy to and again, I understand the gripe of feeling like you need to have a bunch of different services. But if your prerogative is to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers and watch the Pittsburgh Steelers alone, and any other NFL that you watch is just a bonus and you don't have to pay any extra, we're talking about having to have a TV streaming service of some kind, typically, preferably YouTube TV. If you're an out-of-market fan, in market, your local affiliate will be showing a game every single game. If you're an out-of-market fan, you have to have YouTube TV because you're going to have Sunday Ticket. So you're going to have to already pay an arm and leg for that. And then you're talking about having to have Prime Video for this season. Prime Video for one game because they'll play a Thursday night game. And then Netflix for the Christmas game. That's it. Like, now granted, you would prefer it to be the Thursday night game is just on NFL Network or whatever it used to be on before, so that you don't have to have Prime Video, and you'd prefer that any game that's on Christmas would just be on a regular old NBC, ESPN, whatever, so you don't have to have, we're talking about having, 2 extra services for 2 games. We're not talking about this is going to eat up the vast majority of the schedule where 4 games are going to be on Prime Video and 3 games are going to be on Netflix. We're talking about, when they don't play on Christmas, they're going to play at most 2 games on Prime Video if they play 2 Thursday night games.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about at most 2 games of the 17 right now.
Right. Joseph says, and there were a couple more comments about this. The way the world's going, soon enough, you have to pay to watch the Super Bowl like a pay-per-view. That's not going to happen.
I doubt that they would do that.
That's not going to happen. You know why? Taking it off of main cable, taking it off of like local access cable completely ruins the value of the commercial value. Completely ruins the value of the commercials. Like, it's not going to completely make them zero, but you're certainly not going to get the ad revenue that you would get when you keep them on basic cable.
I don't want to guess what the NFL would have to charge for a pay-per-view for the Super Bowl if they were going to make up. I mean, based off of what they charge for commercials for 30 seconds of commercial time during the Super Bowl.
$50 a head. It'll be $50 a head to watch the Super Bowl.
I don't know, man. I think it'd be more than that. It would be more than that. Like, we're talking, I would not be surprised if the NFL no, it's not happening. It's too. First off, it's too global for something like that to happen, and then you make a good point with the commercials too. It's not happening. There's a reason why. I mean, okay, you might not be a baseball fan, right? But the World Series is always going to be on Fox, right?
Or CBS or NBC like it has in the past. But
World Series is typically on Fox.
Well, I mean, in years past, it was on NBC and CBS.
I'm just saying that the World Series is always going to be on some sort of
basic cable.
Yes,
basic cable.
Not even basic cable, but like over the air antenna.
Yeah,
like it will be available. Like you might not be able to watch anything else, but baseball is going to make sure that you're able to watch the World Series.
Absolutely.
And it's good. The NFL is not going to do anything different when it comes to that. Yeah.
And what's the NBA do for the NBA Finals? They put it on ABC.
Yeah.
The ESPN or the Stanley Cup Final, NBC. They put them on the main 4 channels, NBC/ABC. I guess if ESPN gets more involved.
I'm trying to remember if the Stanley Cup, if all games of the Stanley Cup Final are on NBC, or if they have to actually go to like TNT or USA or anything like that. If they do, shame on them.
Even then, though, they're accessible. Like TNT still accessible. Yeah, network television. That's where they go, though.
Yeah.
And the NFL is not going to go away from that.
No, Super Bowl is not going to be a pay-per-view thing. It's not UFC.
No.
Even WWE has gotten away from the pay-per-view game and have for a long time.
Yeah, as long as you have Peacock, you can watch it.
Yeah.
You can watch whatever. And WWE, Monday Night Raw is going to Netflix pretty soon as well. Yeah. So it's not just the NFL that's getting involved. Baseball getting involved with, of all things, Apple Television, NHL, like you talked about with ESPN Plus. All these sports are going to different streaming services now. It's just the way it's happening. Yeah,
like I said, the one thing, and it's interesting to see, in today's day and age, whenever we have so many different areas, so many different places to get our entertainment, I think it's difficult to find one way, to make sure everybody gets what they want, because obviously the fans that really in theory should be most pampered to should be the local fans. I mean, that's right. That's almost goes without saying.
Theoretically speaking, yes.
But in today's day and age, especially with the NFL, how global the game is, you want to make the game as. I mean, I remember like whenever I was a kid, or even a teenager, if I wanted to watch the Steelers game. Now, granted, it's the Steelers, so typically they got on prime time, a few times a year, and then they'd have the occasional like late kickoff on CBS or something like that. And just by doing that, I'd be able to watch about half the games at least. But the other half games, or maybe 6 games of the season, I'm just listening, like trying to find a place online and listen on the radio or whatever. And this is before like high speed internet and stuff like that. And not trying to date myself too much here, but it just, today, like really, if you're really that desperate, you can illegally stream it on your computer. You can find a place to do it.
Yeah, you just got to be careful of the pop. Just be careful of those pop-up
I'm not recommending anybody do that, but I'm just saying if you're desperate enough and you trust your antivirus, you can always do that.
What was your AIM screen name? Can you repeat it on live podcast airwaves?
I honestly can't even remember what my first AIM thing
I remember mine, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Not because it's dirty or anything. It's just because I use that for like other email purposes, and I don't want people sending me spam mail. So I've created that screen name when I was like 11, and it's just been like my email at mail.com forever. Like that's just what I use as my email at. So
really quick, Zach asks, is DK and Ramon live today? I actually don't know if they're doing the show today. If they are, it might be a little later. DK is in Milwaukee covering the Pirates getting their butts kicked last time I checked, but and Joshua coming in right here. Moan show is Thursday this week, so yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, DK is probably flying in tonight. I haven't heard anything about his travel whereabouts, but there's a good expectation they'll be able to react to the schedule for you, just like we'll be able to do on this program tomorrow. Chris will be able to. I will not. I will be away doing another work thing. So I will not be here tomorrow.
We will react to tomorrow. We will react to the official NFL schedule being dropped. There are some leaks, some rumors out there. We can kind of touch on those really quick before we wrap it up. The main rumor, I would say report at this point, is that the Steelers will open on the road against the Falcons. There are worse places to open the season.
Yeah, there are. Atlanta's a really good place to be.
I mean, Mike Tomlin's I think 4-0 against the Falcons in his career, and last time they played there in a regular season game, it was 2022, so it wasn't that long ago. I actually covered that game, and actually that's I'm actually looking forward to it because I actually really, really liked covering a game from that stadium.
Really nice stadium.
It is a very, very nice stadium. The press dining is just awesome. So yeah, and then obviously the report today that the Steelers will play the Chiefs on Christmas. Then there's a rumor out there that the game before that, the Steelers will be playing the Ravens in Baltimore. So in Baltimore, and then 4 days later hosting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, or probably what everybody will really be wanting to be watching, the battle of who gets more screen time, Sierra or Taylor Swift.
Tavis, baby. There's nowhere better to spend Christmas Day.
Oh my God, man.
Than the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Jeez. So yeah, but that's, and I think even that the rumor is that it'll be that 3-week span will be at Philly on a regular Sunday, then at Baltimore Saturday. So 1 day short of a regular week, and then 4 days after that at home against the Chiefs. And that to me is just brutal. I can't think, I'm gonna have to go back and look at some previous season schedules, and because if that 3-game stretch really is on the schedule, that is as brutal of a stretch, 3-game stretch that I can think of. That already makes it a harder schedule than last year. Like when you compare that stretch plus looking at all of the other opponents that they have to face, like, holy crap. That is a you're talking like if they get out of that stretch 1 and 2, they're fortunate.
Yeah.
Because they don't play well in Philly. Like, never have. Even when the Eagles don't have that great of a team, they don't play well in Philly. At Baltimore, any game against the Ravens is never easy. And even if you win the game, it's not a question of if you're going to walk away with injuries, it's how many injuries are you going to have from that game. And then 4 days later, you got to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah. Would be hilarious if Kenny's the QB.
Oh my gosh.
Don't wish anything on Jalen Hurts, but it would be funny if that was the case. Or if it was Kenny Pickett versus Justin Fields. Again, wish no injuries, but if it was Kenny Pickett versus Justin Fields, I'd flex that to prime time national TV or national streaming, if you will.
Let's see. Then I think the other rumor, like Atlanta on the road to open, and then the rumor is that they'll be in Denver the next week. So we're talking about the Arthur Smith revenge game in week 1, and then the Russell Wilson revenge game in week 2. And you could thank the Pirates, by the way, for the reason why the Steelers will open up on the road the first 2 games of the season, because the Pirates are home both of the first 2 NFL Sundays. So unless the Steelers were going to luck out and get either a Thursday night game or a Monday night game, they weren't going to be home. So,
yep. By the way, you want to talk about the NFL and how they are aware that, hey, we can make something out of this really bad matchup. Falcons are a bad team. Broncos are a bad team, and yet they find ways to manufacture that kind of drama in the first 2 weeks of the season by putting Pittsburgh on that schedule.
I will say this, though. Yes, opening up against the Falcons, I feel pretty good as long as the team's healthy. I feel pretty good, just at this stage, right now, that the Steelers should win that game. But different coach, different quarterback. They got themselves a legitimate quarterback now in Kirk Cousins. Raheem Morris, what does he do?
Yep.
It might be a bit of a feeling out process, but from the rumors that I'm seeing, the Falcons have a whale of a first 3 games of the season. I don't remember what the exact opponents are, but I think the Steelers might be the easiest team on that. I'll put it that way. And, regardless of how you feel about the team heading into the season, I don't think you can say the Steelers are a bad team. So,
nope.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting once we see everything made official here in about 4.5 hours.
4 hours, 25 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Yeah. So it's already just based off of opponents. It's not an easy schedule. It's going to be interesting to see how it all lays out. But when you're talking about having a stretch that's reported or at least rumored to be happening, where you go at Philly, at Baltimore in a short week, and then 4 days later have to play the Chiefs at home, that's yeah,
tough.
That's rough. That's really, really rough.
Chris will be here to react to all of it tomorrow.
I think my dog has to go outside, so I'm gonna.
Oh,
I think this is a good time to wrap it up.
I'll take us home then. Go ahead. I'll take us home. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Again, tune in tomorrow where we discuss that slate for the Steelers. We know the opponents. We don't know when and where, though. So we'll find out all of that in just a few short hours. He's Chris Halicke. I'm Corey Crisan. This has been the Southside Beat on a Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers, everybody. Have a great day.